Every time someone watches that movie, they're watching somebody forcing themselves on me. Ask Reddit on Reddit Rundown. What are some dark secrets about the porn industry? I distinctly remember some old Nerdist Network podcast. Can't remember if this was the main one or the one with Pete Holmes. But there was a guest who learned video editing by being an assistant editor for a guy who cut porn movies in the 90s. The day he quit that gig was when they were editing a cum shot scene and saw the dude had blood mixed in the semen, and the lead editor went, "Aha. Syphilis." And just made sure they color corrected it to make sure no one could tell in the finished product. One of my friends worked as a cameraman for porn, and he said that basically every porn set smells like sweat and crap. Somebody replied, "Makes sense. You ever been around someone who's just had sex, like an inconsiderate roommate who hangs out in the living room right after? And hasn't cleaned up? When you're turned on, your brain automatically suppresses a lot of its senses. It's part of why post-nut clarity sometimes makes you just want to leave." Years ago, a former porn star, most people suspect Cody Lane, did an anonymous AMA where she revealed a ton of the terrible things that can happen in the industry. This comment she made about a scene she did really highlights how dark it can be, as she was gang violated to pay off gambling debts. "I did a scene that David Stanley directed with Brian Sherwood, Sasha, and Joel Lawrence and Andrew Andretti, which went way too far. I was dating Sasha at the time, and had lost a lot of money in Vegas because I'm very compulsive. I was living with Sasha. He was very abusive, but I had always been in abusive relationships since I was young. I lost my virginity at 8 to my stepdad, and I got to the point where I thought men treated me bad because they loved me so much and it was just passion. Which is what my mom had told me. That when a man is passionate and doesn't want to lose you, sometimes he strikes out. Anyways, I needed money bad, and he arranged for us to do a really rough scene. A rough gangbang with all of them. I knew it was going to be rough, but it went nuts. Nuts. With them telling me things like I wouldn't get paid if I said stop, that it's amateur hour if I make people show up for a shoot and then pull out, etc., etc. So I went through with the scene. It was very painful. Very rough. Very crazy. And at one point I felt disconnected from my body because the anal was so painful. When it was over, I shivered for days and started having panic attacks. Shortly after, I quit, but they kept trying to get me to come back because they were afraid I'd talk. The scene was never released until 2 years later when I was still doing work, because if it had been my last scene, they said it would have showed that they had gone too far. But because I stayed in the business after the scene was filmed, it proved somehow that the film was not that bad and that I was just acting. That scene really messed with my head though, and after that I got a reputation for being a cute girl who would do anything. And pretty soon I could get booked for nothing but rough scenes. Nobody wanted to see me in boy-girl or girl-girl anymore. They wanted to see me in crazy rough sex. I still cry and have nightmares about it to this day. They still work when on their period, and stick a makeup sponge up there that they pull out at the end of the workday. You should watch the interview with porn actors on YouTube. Very enlightening. Somebody replied, "I saw an interview where a porn star said she was about to go down on a chick for a scene, but it smelled rotten. Turns out she'd forgotten to remove her sponge the day before." There was a documentary shown on Channel 4 TV, UK, a few years ago, called Hardcore, available on YouTube, which is about a British woman who goes to LA to work in the porn industry. It's horrendous. At about 40 minutes in, she is taken to meet a well-known anal sex porn actor, and has to do a scene with him. At one point, it's too much for her and she runs off set, as she feels she's being abused and can't take it. He tries to persuade her to return, getting ever more verbally abusive towards her, until eventually she agrees to return and finish the scene. At this point the film crew broke the fourth wall, because they felt that she was being coerced against her will, and they couldn't stand by and watch her being violated, and within 5 minutes they got her out of the house and to safety. Sadly, the man who was grooming her in the industry got her back to work doing gonzo movies. So I'm pretty late to this party, but I actually used to work in the industry several years ago. One company based in Tucson, Arizona, another major one based in Canada, and then a smaller affiliate network also based in Canada. Funny enough, all three were eventually bought by Manwin/MindGeek, Pornhub, RedTube, YouPorn, etc. I built TGPs, MGPs, those free sites that would give you samples, did some editing of videos, modded a couple tube sites, and submitted stuff to larger free gallery networks, affiliate stuff. I've gone to industry shows, AVN awards, expos, etc. I got out of it like around 2010 or 11. It's foggy. 1. The porn must flow, new content would come in, filmed/shot, daily, and it needed to be edited/published ASAP. It didn't matter what the talent looked like. Hot, drugged out of their gourds, crying, happy, questionable age, violated, didn't matter. The company paid for it and it all had to be used. If I objected to questionable material, I was told to ignore it and do my job. 2. Very few companies maintain a 2257 database. 2257 is a US law where companies are required to keep records of the ages of all the talent they use. In one company we had two ladies whose entire job, 8 hours a day, was to view, log, and store all the IDs that came in. No, I'm not joking. 5 days a week, 8 hours a day they were viewing and logging all the IDs from new talent that would come in. That's how much porn was shot and how much of it was from new talent. It consisted of the model holding their IDs next to their faces. These photos were the first ones before any of the porn photos, so while I was building out galleries, I would also see them. 4 times out of 10 the model has their thumb over their date of birth. 3. Prolapses happen. When the stuff is shot, it's shipped off to the main office to be edited. Like I said, they shoot everything. Nothing is tossed. So if there's an anal sex scene and a model's ass falls out, it's on camera. For the majority of the stuff, it's edited out, but the footage is saved just in case. When I say that, who knows if the company is going to release some Uber fetish site down the road. Everything is saved. I've seen girls who've done one too many anal scenes start to cry and panic when their ass falls out because they think their career is done. On set, nurse sometimes would just push it back in and they'd switch to something else to film. 4. It's a very closed-door industry. Everyone knows everyone. Affiliates like to only be called by their online screen names and get offended if you call them by their actual name. There were industry message boards back in the day, one that stands out is getyourself.com or something, where everyone knew everyone and had agendas against each other. Ever have to meet someone in person and call them Batman or Harry Twatter to their faces? I have. It's unpleasant. Day 1 I was told I needed to come up with a name and I thought they were joking. No. It's quite serious. They're all looking to stab each other in the back for higher payouts, scam the system, or accuse others of whatever. If you got footage of one of them doing coke or a producer the company didn't really like doing drugs or effing or whatever, then you were told to save that footage, again, just in case. It's an industry full of middle schoolers who got rich from DVDs. 5. People are weird about their porn. You know how if you ever worked in a restaurant or fast food place, and people get crazy or insanely angry when their food isn't exactly how they want it? Porn is worse. If you don't post stuff daily or it's not up to their standards, you'll get hate mail, death threats, etc. Guys like to submit their own videos to gay tube sites who might not even be gay. I had to moderate these videos. I'm not gay, by the way, meaning daily we'd get user submissions and I'd either allow them to be posted or denied them. I also moderated the straight tube sites. Majority of the time there'd be messages attached to said videos asking if I watched them, what I thought about them, did I jerk off to it, etc. Not a whole lot of women making submissions, but 8 times out of 10 it's dudes. These are homemade videos, by the way. I saw a lot of homemade violation, CP, borderline snuff, guys injecting their balls and dicks with stuff, drug use, etc. Oh, and actual incest. Not like the son, I'm stuck in the washing machine. Incest, but actual, this is my sister and she's going to suck my junk, or moms jerking off their sons, dads having sex with their sons, daughters, etc. How do I know it's real? Remember that 2257 stuff? Yeah. Majority of it doesn't make its way online because it'll be denied, but it does happen, a lot. I think that's most of the main stuff off the top of my head. Like I said, I haven't done it in over a decade and I've switched careers several times. I'm desensitized to it now and won't watch it at all. The most famous porn film of all time is Deep Throat, a movie so ubiquitous that it actually saw release in regular theaters. The whistleblower of the infamous Watergate scandal even used it as his code name. A lot of people don't realize that the female star of the film, Linda Borman, was blackmailed and coerced into taking the role. She later said, "Every time someone watches that movie, they're watching me being violated." Thanks for listening to Reddit Rundown. Give a thumbs up and subscribe, and help me get to 1,000 subs. Leave a comment below on what kind of topics or stories you would like to hear. You can also check out other videos on my channel. Thanks and have an awesome day.